Yo, 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 it's your host, African Cowboy here, and you're tuning in to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Mask On, Mask Off podcast. And in today's episode, I have Minister Adonis, aka my mom. If you remember, in Season 1, I had my dad come in, but now I had to bring my mom in because she's a very important piece as well to who I am today as a man and even as an artist. In this episode, we talk about the importance of thinking outside the box, her love for ministry, and walking into your calling. So I really hope that you really enjoy this episode and pick up the gems that you can from this episode, and it just make your day better if it can. So thank you for tuning in and listening. Let's go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mask On,
Thank
Mask
you.
Off podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 3. And we have a very, very, very special guest. Today we have Minister Adonis, aka my mom. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this episode because I started this whole podcast, season 1, with my dad.
Uh,
And I thought it was important to have you on this episode and just like the podcast period because you're an integral piece of who I am today. Recently, I don't know if you heard about the Kanye West documentary that he put out there, which has been a big thing right now. But I always look at his relationship that he had with his mom and how he speaks about how his mom is the reason why he has always believed in himself and fought for his dreams, even when people have labeled him crazy or wrote him off like he was going to fail. He always talks about how it was his mom that started him early and instilled in him, to just have that mental fortitude and just
right.
the willpower to go after whatever it is that's on your heart, if it's destined for you. And that's something I resonate with deeply because I feel like that's been our relationship.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
I've ran into a lot of people in life, and unfortunately, they had parents or guardians that never really instilled them or did the opposite of that. And it was something that's clear to me. When you're raised a certain way, you think
Mm,
everyone is raised that way, and then you
right.
end up looking around and you're why doesn't everybody else feel this confident about what they're doing or their life? And I had to be like, oh, I was just blessed. So yeah, this
Amen. Thank
that's the
you.
reason why I have you on this podcast. So I know there's going to be people like nepotism, but I had to get that out there. But yeah. So how would you just describe yourself and what you do, who you are?
Oh, wow. I don't really know how to describe myself, but I would say that I think I'm a passionate person. I love God. That's one thing for sure. And I'm just work hard daily to be pleasing to God and to fulfill my purpose on earth while also trying to, balance relationships, family relationships, work relationships, and just trying to get out there and make it. So I think in a nutshell, that's what I would say about myself. I'm not a perfect individual, but I try to give excellency in everything that I do.
Right. And so you would say that's like more so you're an ordained minister, and I believe what would you say there is that therapy or couple like
Counselor, counselor.
counselor.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes, that I am by the grace of God. Yes, that I am.
yeah, so has that where did that even begin to have that desire to do that? Because a lot of people, love God, but who it takes a different type of person to then have it in their mind and to be I want to be a pastor, I want to be a minister.
It's funny because a lot of people haven't actually heard me say this, but I never actually woke up wanting to be a pastor. If anything, in my teenage years, I would say that I didn't want anything to do with being a pastor. I didn't even want to marry a pastor or date a pastor or anything
Yeah.
like that. And my sister and I would say that. And we were pretty much raised in the church, so to speak. From as far as I could remember, my mom, who is very integral to who I am, made sure we're in the church and everything. And sometimes when you grow up in the church, it's kind of hard for you to actually define and get your own relationship with God apart from your parents. And sometimes you're actually trying to steer away from it because you're in the church, you're seeing all the good, the bad, and the ugly of the church people. And so it wasn't really anything I planned or intended. But the amazing thing about God is, once you are in his presence and you've been exposed to the true light of who he is, you can't really run away from it. And like you were saying, you grow up and then you start to see how some people are different from you. And a lot of that, I can attest that to being seeing my mom and seeing how she depended on God, and God came through. Examples to where I watched through my mom, God provide. My mom was a single parent, and we would have situations where, okay, we need fees, school fees, we need food and all of that. But I saw my mom call on God and God provide. And, so I want to say that I saw a real God
Mm.
at home. And one day, I was actually in school, in a high school, just, living my life. Like I said, I wasn't trying to be a pastor, I wasn't even that interested, but there was always something on the inside of me where after we had fun with my friends or whatever, when I was by myself, I always had that moment where I would look to read the Bible. I would pray by myself. So there was always something internally that was just knocking and, nudging, that had been instilled earlier on. And at about 17 years old, that the grace of God, I can't even give credit. It just hit me to where, listen, I just need to serve him and give him my all, give him my life. And that's what I did. From then on, have never turned back, never looked back. And it was the best decision I've made. And it was at that time that I personally received the call of God at 17, even though I didn't start being a pastor at 17. But it was at that time that I knew that I was called to be a minister.
Mm. And just a touch too, because I know there's people going to be listening and be like, school fees. Like everybody who is from overseas, they understand what you meant when you said that. But I just wanted to make clear that you were from.
I'm from Zimbabwe originally. And so I grew up in Zimbabwe. I went to high school in Zimbabwe, then came out here for college. But so in Zimbabwe, when you go to school, you pay for school fees. You have everybody pays, whether it's a private school or whether it's a government schools, everybody pays school fees, and that's a big thing there.
Yeah, and there was an interview with a big media person within like hip hop. His name is DJ Academics, and he was from Jamaica, and he was like having an interview with somebody, and he was telling them like, over here, it's cool in America to go to school and not really take it serious, but back where I'm from, they used to have rankings of who was the
Yes,
best in class, and it's like you
yes,
didn't want to be the last, like people would like
yes.
clown you. So it's just like, yeah, when you said that, it resonated because I remember having conversations with you about just like the cultural differences of just school,
Yes.
um, here and over there.
Yes, that is true. That is true, and I could say the same. I agree with him on that, because in Zimbabwe, when I was growing up, it was a big thing, like school and your rankings. Where I went to a private school in Zimbabwe, but we were ranked first out of the whole school year, like whatever your whole, we'd call it your stream, which was the whole, everybody in your grade, you'd be ranked out of that for the first 2 years. And
Mm.
if you were consistently in the top 36, then you would go for your final 2 years, you'd go to the first class, second class, and you were kind of, yeah, it was intense, very intense. Yeah.
And it's cool. It's just how different things happen on like the same thing and same institutions can be happening, all across the globe, but depending on where you are, people are dealing and reacting to it differently. But something I was talking to one of my other guests about, we were talking about culturally our perspective here on health and spirit. One thing I just want to get your opinion on is, do you feel like because of where you're from, where we're from in Zimbabwe, um, that people lean towards trusting God more? Is there like a different type of relationship based on, because you were talking about the things that you were seeing that um your mom was overcoming by, trusting God. Um, do you feel like based on different circumstances that go on here and go on over there, that the relationship for towards God is different, or you feel like it's the same thing?
On some level, I think there's a difference. And I think because I think people like in Africa, really, because not only in Zimbabwe where I grew up, because what you just said had me thinking about where we have done mission trips to places like Kenya.
Mm.
And whenever we go, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and other places in Africa, whenever we go there, the hunger and desire for God is so deep. And, people are dedicated. They are not trying to, they're not even worried about whether they're wearing the same outfit the whole 3-day conference or whatever it is, but they are loving God so much. And I think it has also to do with knowing Him as their ultimate source. And not to say here that people don't love God or they don't know that God is their ultimate source, but it's definitely a difference in the longing and desire to have God meet their needs, their physical needs, their spiritual needs. Over here, it's different. Sometimes, people, some, I'm not going to say everybody because that wouldn't be
Right,
accurate,
right.
but there are some people here where they have a complacency and almost just take God for granted, because maybe because we have so much. I don't know exactly where that stems from, but there's definitely a difference in the zeal, the hunger, and the drive that we see when we go to people in Africa for their love for God.
Yeah, and that's something I saw firsthand going to Zimbabwe for the first time with you and some family right before the pandemic hit. And I remember us going to church. And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, I thought we were, you were like, oh yeah, let's go. We're going to church. I'm thinking we're going to like a building, AC. I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. I wonder what this is gonna, look like and feel like. And then we pull it up, and it was like, just like a dirt, acre, and there was like a tent, and it was scorching outside, and there was chairs set up. Saw people like, service was over, hopping on trucks, loading up in the back, sitting in the back, and I was just like, whoa, like people really, and they were there really in tune and really, you know, feeling it, and I was just like, wow, a lot of times we don't even want to go to the cush buildings that we have here, and they're out here in the
Yeah.
heat and under these tents. And it wasn't just like, oh, a 30-minute, we're out of here. I had to be like a good 2 hours or something that we were in there. So
Yeah, that touches me a lot because and let me say they do have, let me just put
yeah,
that
yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
they do.
In
Yeah,
Zimbabwe, they do
that
have
was just that was just
nice,
my singular experience. Let me
right?
not paint.
It's
Yeah,
okay. But just to make it clear out there, just in case somebody,
right.
misconstrues what you're saying. We do have very nice buildings, very nice churches, but the
Mhm.
way we were going that particular day, they were having a tent meeting
Yeah.
where everybody was meeting, and like you just said, the people there were, if the joy didn't matter that they were in a tent, they were outside, they were just loving God and giving it their very all. And that always moves me when I see that. The way I start to look at myself, like, okay, we have all this, you walk in the AC, you got all this, and sometimes we just don't even want to do it. But look at these people, they in their lack, they're out there giving God their all still.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always, every trip like that always gets me to look at things into perspective and re-examine my own relationship with God. Like, do I really love God for God, or is he kind of like, yeah, convenient, like he's there when I need him, and kind of, I have to just check that for myself too all the time.
Yeah. And then one thing I wanted to ask too was, um you were talking about how at 17 you fully immersed yourself into God and into the vision he had for you. But just to give people perspective, because sometimes I feel like when it comes to certain conversations that deal with God, or even just people who go to church, for people who may be on the outside, it may seem like a perfection image that they aren't in tune with. Like, I oftentimes you'll hear people saying like, I'm not like those, people at, who go to church or who are like this, and they set them at a certain pedestal. So I just wanted to, like, just conversation with you from that time point, from the time you were 17 until now, were there those ups and downs where you were asking God questions, where you were doubting maybe, or was it just like you were just on cloud nine since you were 17 until now?
Oh wow, that is just amazing, because I will start off by saying that we have this misconception that coming to God means that our lives are going to be absolutely great, no challenges, no hiccups. There will be no pain, no suffering. But that is not true, because Jesus himself says that as we look at him, he is the example and he suffered much. And so sometimes we have that misconception. And to answer your question, is that no, it was not all hunky dory. It was not all planned out. At 17, I received the call, but even then, I was still trying to figure myself out. I tried to talk to my parents about going to Bible school. They were not hearing it. They spent so much money for me to go to private school, and now I want to be a pastor. At that time, they didn't quite, understand. Now it's a whole different conversation. And then I also wanted to be an attorney. That's what I wanted to, in order to pursue that.
And
But
a
the
dancer
long
at
and
one
the
point too, right?
huh?
And a dancer at one point too, right?
Well, no, that one, I wanted to dance when I was younger, but then I didn't get support from my family, even though I was good at it. And so, yeah, so I always wonder, maybe I could have been a famous dancer. Who knows if that got support, So, I mean, that's another thing. That's why I try with you guys to just try and, just give you the opportunity. If you're gonna fail, let it not be on my account. Like me saying,
Yeah.
maybe I could have been a dancer. Nobody knows if I could have been a dancer or not.
Yeah.
But the path is never simple. There are challenges. There have been challenges in me figuring out my calling and actually coming to. And the things of God don't happen just like that. I was sharing the other day with someone that sometimes I would be at work and I would call my pastor and say, Pastor, I'm over. I can't be here. I need to go out there and preach. I need to go out there. And he would always say, in due time, in due time, in due time. And so it took years of growing, and it took years of developing, because what we don't realize is the things that happen in our lives, they actually shape who we become based on how we respond. So I can tell you that my life has not been easy. I've faced so many challenges. I've faced all kinds of things. that tug at my faith and my belief and hope in God, but I've always looked to Him to be true. And as I always say, my favorite verse, if anybody has a favorite verse in the Bible, is Romans 8:28, which says that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord and those who are called according to His purpose. So that has been that scripture has kept me and continues to keep me in understanding that even though not everything is going to be good in life, but all things will work out for good. So that gives me confidence that no matter what I face, I have the assurance that God is on my side. And I face some really negative situations, some challenging, really painful places, but in knowing that God has good plans for me, in knowing that He's with me and never leave me nor forsake me, that is what has kept me thus far and keeps me going forward no matter what challenges come along the way. But it's never just a straight, easy path. Sometimes you got to discover yourself. Sometimes you got to learn things about you that need to change as you grow into your calling. Sometimes you have to learn to make adjustments as you become what the Lord has called you to be. That has been my experience.
That's real. It's almost like you treat it like anything else. Like if you wanted to start a business, right?
Yeah.
Unless you just know somebody, it's not just going to take off overnight. It's
Right.
going to take some time, but that time taken, it's very rewarding, you know, even though there's no singular destination, but as you keep on going, you gain those rewards. So it's kind of like the same thing, kind of not like a transactional way, but it's kind of the same way spiritually, where it's like even through those tough times, you still have to keep on building because the reward is still great to have, you know.
Yeah, and those times can be so tough where you want to give up. You want to quit. Those times can be so tough. Just like I like the example you gave for running a business. You can run a business and just and not make any money for the first 5 years, or not, and you keep chugging at it. So it's the same thing with our spiritual walk with God. That we also have a real enemy who does not want us to grow in the knowledge of Jesus Christ. So the challenges will come up so bad sometimes where you think God has left you. Like, where are you, God? Are you even still here? Just like Jesus says, even on the cross, it says, why have you forsaken me? There will be times where you may feel forsaken, where you may feel like you're going to give up on your dream because everything is not lining up, things are not going on. But I would just encourage anybody with the encouragement that has kept me to look within and hold on to the promise that God has given, the vision, whatever that is that God has given you. It's going to require a level of tenacity and resilience that is unmatched if you are going to be successful in becoming who God has assigned and called you to be.
Right. And just for somebody who may still hear that and be like, that's just a pastor script. Could you speak on your recent testimony of overcoming your cancer, if you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, everything happens to us for a reason. And so my recent challenge that came up my way is while I'm serving God, doing all these wonderful things, and not I say praying for people to get healed, and they're getting healed. And then bam, here's this unexpected diagnosis of breast cancer. And anybody that has had to be told you have cancer, any type of cancer, the first thing that comes to your mind is, okay, I'm dying. That's the first thing. You then process it or whatever, but the first thing is, I'm dead. My life is over. But however, I was able to tap in, and what I was able to do when I received that diagnosis, it was a shocker. Like, what? And then I said, okay, God, if you have allowed this to happen to me, you are going to get the glory. if I've seen you heal, I've heard you heal people that get diagnoses like Dodie Austin, Pastor Joel Austin's mom. She was diagnosed, she stood on the Bible, and bam, it was gone. You hear testimonies of Joyce Meyer and all these other people. I said, okay, God, if you can, I know you can heal me. I don't doubt that you can heal me in an instant. But if you don't, I also know that you will be glorified and you will get me through that. And that may be perhaps there is a reason. There are people I'm supposed to meet on this journey that I would have never met if I had not been diagnosed. So that was my place. And I said, well, and God, if you do call me home, I'm gonna go home. Amen. We Christians talk of heaven, but we don't want to die. But other than the rapture, or if you die, that's the only way to go, isn't it? So I was okay and content within that space. So I began to believe God, because I said, okay, God, I know you've made promises. Remember, I told you from 17, you've made promises to me that have not come to fruition. So I know that I'm not going to die. But if you are going to allow me to go through this, we're going in it together. Amen. So I started, I just believed God, and it was not easy at all. There are days then I went through chemotherapy. There are days when I think it was the first or second chemotherapy, I said, listen, God, I can't do this. I'm not going through another cycle of this. I'm just going to quit it. And, whatever. If I die, I die. I'm just going to quit it. It's just too painful. So, and I guess this can be an application for somebody, that sometimes you go through things where they are so tough and you feel like you can't go on. You just want to give up and cave in, but you got to find something from deep within that you can pull to keep going. And for me, I would play gospel music. There were songs, in particular, one song that says your goodness keeps running after me, and I would just be playing, and sometimes I couldn't even pray. In so much pain, I couldn't pray at all, like open my mouth, but my heart would be praying internally, God, get me through this. And do you know that along the way I met many people, I joined Facebook Christian support groups, and I went to the cancer centers. I ended up finding that I was able to, by the grace of God, I was able to encourage other people who would wake up and say, I just feel like I want to die today. I'm, oh no, you don't want to die today. And we're in the same battle. But I then saw why God allowed me to go through there. There are people I met at the cancer centers that I was able to minister to, just to share. We're in the same battle, but I guess our level maybe of understanding or experiences, sometimes we just need somebody. So God will put you in places where you have a job to do, to shine his light, to encourage someone, even as you carry your own cross. And that's what the breast cancer journey did for me. It was, and I got to understand more than I ever did. And I don't think I would have ever understood the struggles that women face when when they're diagnosed with breast cancer. Every October, I'd wear the little pink ribbon at church. I'd do the breast cancer walk, but I didn't know a thing about breast cancer. I didn't know the pain. I didn't know the struggles where, there are statistics that actually show that when women go through breast cancer, they either go through divorce, they go through separation, the significant others leave, they have financial hardships. Those are things I did not even know about until I was in that space. And then so I want to believe, God, that even in that pain, even in that struggle, there is so much that I learned. And now, even as a point of ministry, when I hear other people that are going through it, and, as I will go back to Africa because that's where I'm from, and my heart bleeds that there are women out there that don't go for their exams or that don't go for their surgeries where they have to have a mastectomy, which is just to make it plain, is that when their breast has to be removed, whether it's a single mastectomy or it's a double mastectomy where they're removing both breasts. So the women are not going for treatments because they're scared that their husbands will leave them. And some have been left by their husbands on the diagnosis of breast cancer. So this experience, I would have had the compassion, hearing it, but it's different now having walked through it.
Mm.
And so and it would be easy for someone to say, and some people, that's amazing. Like when you were saying that, is the road easy and simple? I came to find out after the fact that there were some people that actually saw my journey through breast cancer as if it was a curse. Like there was something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get cancer and you're a minister? There's got to be some kind of evil there. And which is the misconception that we think that because we are children of God, we will not go through the fire. The Bible says we go through the fire, we go through the water, but deep waters, but he leads us out into a wealthy place. We go through it, and not to destroy us. So that has been my experience, and a lot of other things probably in life, but this one probably the most difficult thing I've ever encountered in my own life. But I still can give glory to God, still see the hand of God in it, and now even see it as an opportunity to minister to others. I don't shy to speak about it. And what was amazing is when I was diagnosed, I came out and I told people that, okay, hey guys, this is the diagnosis. And you'll be amazed how some people that were also going through quietly by themselves came out and reached out to me. Some people out of fear or whatever. So then that was my cue that, okay, God, you are using this for your glory. You are using this for your glory. So I began to encourage others, and even get help for people that were going through it alone. And it was maybe not breast cancer per se, but some other cancers, but they were quiet, like afraid, ashamed, or whatever was going on. So I was able then to just walk it with them. And also for me, I leaned more on God than anything, and he sustained me, because even then, like I said, the enemy just always out try and destroy the vision. Even then, through my breast cancer journey, there were other challenges that came my way that really were meant to shake me off my foundations, just shake me off believing and trusting that there is even a God. Like, where is he? Why is all this bad stuff happening? But he was there, he is still there, and he will always be there. And may I just encourage any of the listeners that are listening here that, hey, even if you're going through a difficult time, and you may go through, it may seem sometimes where it's difficulty after difficulty, and as long as you keep standing and you are in right standing with God, where you have not done anything to where, okay, I haven't really, I'm here, just keep standing, just keep trusting, and just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward, and you will see God work all things together for good. And I stand here to say, breast cancer free. I'm a survivor. I've gone through all the treatments, and I'm just thriving and just moving on. Was it easy? No. All the other challenges I faced, were they easy? No. But God was there, and it just takes you keep going. Whatever, you may not be breast cancer for you, maybe whatever struggle, but just keep going. Just keep going, just keep looking, keep trusting, keep believing, no matter what is thrown at you. And I can assure you that you will get to your promised land, or whatever what God has destined for you and your life.
That's
Thank
beautiful. And you were talking about mission trips earlier. I believe in connections with Beauty for Ashes Ministries, right?
you. Yes.
Could you just explain to the people, like, what is that?
Okay, so we have a ministry. It's a nonprofit ministry called Beauty for Ashes Ministries, which is a ministry that is really just focused on bringing, just bringing hope to the hopeless, just bringing love and light to the lost, and just bringing people out to their ultimate place where the Lord has prepared for them. And we are essentially the hands. We strive to be the hands and the feet of Jesus Christ in our communities, and operate in love. And as we would say, maybe our tagline or whatever you call it is, love is the greatest, because we are moved in extending the love of God to others, so that they too can grow in what God has called them to be, and extend the love of God. So with that, We meet on Zoom platforms weekly. We send out a weekly word just to encourage each and everyone in their spiritual walk. Wherever God has called you, whatever God has for you, we are here to help you to be successful, help you realize what God has for you. We have then ventured out and gone into to other countries according to God's word to fulfill the Great Commission, go into other countries just to uplift the people there, to help them connect with God and to thrive in who God has called them to be free from the bondage that keeps people tied down from realizing their full potential in what God has assigned for them. So that is my passion, really, just to see people arise and fulfill their kingdom assignment, because every single person, whatever, you may not be a preacher, but God has called you for something. There is something that you have that God is going to use to illuminate your community, to illuminate your environment. We are called to carry the light of God. And so as Beautiful Ashes Ministries, we have a team of people, and we are just out there trying to bring out that light and to make sure that every other person's light is shining through to what God has them to do and fulfill their destiny.
That's amazing. And there's a different multitude of people who tune in to the podcast. For the most part, we always often center it around art and design. So for any young designers that might be listening, or anybody, to what you're saying, that they know their calling, through art and design, that may want to reach out and contribute to the ministry, like where could they reach out? Or even if they wanted to tune into the Zoom, like how like where specifically, what channels could they reach out to?
Okay. So the Zoom, I guess I can give you the Zoom ID. But we do have platforms, like we're on Twitter. It's Beauty for Ashes 4. It's Beauty for Ashes 4 on Twitter. We're also on Facebook as Beauty for Ashes Ministries as well. And on Instagram, I believe it's Beauty for Ashes as well. So we have those platforms, or just send an email to BFAM, BFAM International at Gmail, BFAM International at Gmail, and then we can put you onto our mailing list to receive, or go to the website, which is www.loveisthegreatest.org. It's one word, www.loveisthegreatest.org. So if you could go there, we also have a place for you there to connect with us, and to request to be signed up to the weekly word that comes in your email. Every Monday morning, you will get a word that comes directly to your email for you, to encourage you throughout the week. And you could email me directly as well at ministeradonis@gmail.com. And if you want to counseling, or you just want to talk to somebody, or encouragement, you can email me directly at ministeradonis@gmail.com. And we could take it from there. But to any young designers out there, I would just say, encourage you to step out of the box. Just go. There is nothing that grows in the comfort zone. So if you are going to grow as a designer, you need to step out of your box, and don't shy away to what the Lord is placing upon you to do different things. The world is looking for your intellect. The world is looking out for what you have that is on the inside. So don't shy away. Say, oh, well, they always do it like this. Well, no, you need to be the one to break it out to, this is how it's done now. This is the new thing. And so young designers sometimes may hold back because you're thinking, well, this kind of different. Different is good. And so I would just encourage any young designer out there, is go out, go get it, be bold, and know that, just carry the vision. You'll face challenges. It may not work out. You may be even rejected a couple of times, but just keep moving on. And eventually, if you keep at it, and if you keep focused, keep the main thing, and stay focused, and you'll be successful.
That's a perfect way to end this podcast off. Thank you so much for coming through. It was great talking to you.
Thank you for
Hopefully,
having
maybe
me.
we can do this again and touch base and see how far the ministry has come.
Amen. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Have a blessing. Bye.